Welcome back to Cedar Valley Today. Joining us now is Wartburg College's Dean of Students, Daniel Kittle. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
So to begin, I understand as your role of Dean of Students that you get to work with a lot of students on campus, but how do you work with Student Senate specifically?
So the Student Senate, I'm their advisor. They have an administrative advisor, which is usually the Dean of Students, and they also have a faculty advisor, who this year is Dr. Joyce Boss.
Okay, and with Student Senate, do you work directly with the president and vice president of the student body?
I do. I usually meet with them at least once a month, but normally about every other week. And then, of course, like in contact if there's issues that arise or if there's questions that I can answer.
And now I know elections will be coming up this next week, and on Monday night they will be having their first debate. So what do you think is important about this debate?
I think what's important about the process is I'm impressed by the number of candidates. I think back to some of the teaching that I've done in the leadership program, the relationship between leading and risk, and it takes just some leadership to demonstrating leadership just by running, and so I'm impressed by the slate of candidates.
Awesome. I know there are 3 ballots up for president and vice president, so you mentioned you haven't seen this very often.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I think it's going to be fun. Last year's debate was pretty spirited, and I imagine this year's will be as well. But I'm always impressed, frankly, by the civility that the candidates show one another. I think everybody knows that they're in it for the right reasons, and so I expect it to be spirited, but certainly civil.
And what do you think it's important for the student body to look for when they're deciding who to vote for president and vice president?
I think I would remind them of 2 roles that the Senate plays. One is allocating student fees, and that goes to individuals, that goes to organizations, it goes to campus improvement projects. And then I would also say that they work a lot on approving or denying student organizations. And so I think what they should be looking for is someone who has judgment, particularly in regards to allocating funds, and then also working with student organizations.
Wonderful. I know with the Student Senate, they're involved in a lot of things, so it'll be interesting to see how the elections go on.
Yeah. Also, one of the things that I think, whenever I've had an opportunity to talk to some of the candidates, is that it's like national politics. You never know what kind of issue is going to define their term, and so I think they also just need to be open-minded.
What are you looking forward to the most during this election season?
I just think it brings a different spirit to campus. I love walking around and you see the student buttons, and I've had a couple of candidates ask me to wear a button or to like their Facebook page, which I haven't done. not because I don't support them, but because I tried to make sure that I'm neutral in the process. But it's just fun to see that type of campaigning on campus. And I also like that the process isn't that long, frankly. I think it's about the right amount of time to bring awareness to candidates, but then also to wrap it up.
What can you tell me more about the process of election itself and the timeline of that?
So I think it really is kicking off now. I'm sure you've probably seen some candidates tabling, and then the debates, and then shortly thereafter there is the election process. This year's a little different because there's so many candidates running for president and vice president that we've separated the debates of those candidates versus the other candidates that are running for executive positions. So that's just a little different than it has been in the past, but that's a good thing because there's more students involved.
What do you think are some of the challenges of staying neutral during the debates?
Oh, I don't think it's that hard, actually. I think it's fun to attend, and I mean, it sounds like it maybe is a cliche, but there are really good students running, and so I feel like however it turns out, the student body will be in a strong position, and also the college as well.
Okay, and why do you think it's so important that students vote?
I think 2 reasons. One is I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think that these roles matter, like the work the Student Senate's doing matters. And so they should vote for that reason. The other is I think that we talk a lot about on this campus, and we should, about habits of citizenship. And I think this is getting in the habit of being a good citizen by voting in your local elections here at the college. I think it also gets you in the habits of being engaged in your community as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Dean Kittle, and be sure to join us for the debates on Monday evening.